Hey everyone, I'm Ann. Welcome to the Let's Get Naked podcast, where we dive deep into vulnerability. In this space, we'll explore what triggers us, uncover the patterns holding us back, and discover how to take charge of our own growth. If you're ready to dig in, be vulnerable, and face the tough stuff, then buckle up. It's time to get naked. You know what? I can't keep up. And maybe that's the point. The LGBTQ plus landscape has shifted so much in our lifetime that sometimes it feels like the ground is still shaking under our feet. The rules change, the language changes, the labels change. What was a radical step forward yesterday might be called tone deaf today. And I'll be real, sometimes I'm afraid to even open my mouth because I don't want to get it wrong. But if we're all being honest, that's not the goal, to be perfect. The goal is to show up anyways. To keep listening, keep learning, keep screwing it up and trying again. Because this isn't some abstract political topic. This is about actual lives. It's about who gets to hold hands in public without fear, who gets health care without a fight, who sees themselves in the mirror and feels like they're allowed to take up space. Today, I'm sitting with two people who live inside this reality in ways I will never understand. A queer Black woman who's navigating intersections I can't fully imagine. A gay white man in his 40s who's seen his identity go from taboo to tolerated to celebrated, sometimes, and only in certain places. And me, a white, straight-ish woman trying to figure out how to be a good ally without making it about me. I want to know what's real, the pride and the pain, the progress and the backlash. The conversations you have in your own communities that the rest of us never hear. And yeah, I want to sit in the messy parts, the places where it's not clean or safe or wrapped up in a rainbow slogan, because that's where the truth actually lives. So let's go there. No polish, no PR, no pretending we've got it all figured out. Just us on the record, in the deep end, trying to understand each other before the next seismic shift changes the landscape again. Today, I'm stripping it all off with Lotus and Keith. Lotus is a dancer, choreographer, movement coach, and creative director whose work centers soul, story, and self-expression. Keith is my baby brother who has been on the show previously and who definitely brings the color into everything he does. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exciting to be here again.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to start with something that I think, I asked my husband this morning, like, what would you want to know in this landscape, right? Obviously, he's a straight man because he's married to me, white man. And he said, I would love to know what the definition of queer even is so that I understand, because he comes from a place where queer was a word that we didn't use. Obviously, that has changed because that was in my description of you. And I feel like I also don't have a full understanding of what that looks like. And so I thought if you wouldn't mind just sharing that as just kind of a little bit of an education so that we can start from that. And then we'll just kind of go into it from there.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that, because that's definitely something that a lot of people who live the straight experience, feel. Mm-hmm. This was a slur at one point, so I'm not really comfortable saying it out loud to someone, let alone describing them as that.
Sure.
Especially in this day and age. So before I say anything, I would like to say that I'm speaking from my personal experience.
Yes.
I would not say that I am going to be the spokesperson for my entire community. This is a very personal understanding of things from me and from people who I know and love who've, we've had conversations about things like this. So I don't want anyone to take what I say as law, but a piece of the very large pie that is the LGBTQIA plus community. So the term queer is pretty much an umbrella term where all else kind of falls underneath it, that anything that is not the heteronormative, essentially. So if you are gender fluid or you express yourself that is not traditional, then that falls under being queer. If you are of a different sexuality than being straight, that falls under that umbrella term. And there are so many other terms, beneath that. So it's a really great way to not give yourself a binary, and to not limit yourself to being one title.
Okay.
Because like many other things, gender expression and sexuality are a spectrum, and they also shift depending on the season of your life, for me speaking, and then for others that I know. So it's a fluid thing. It's never the same or stagnant. So it allows you a space to be a human and explore new things and expand your understanding of yourself, I feel like. So I think that's the best way I can put what queer is into a sentence. Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Keith? And then is that something that you would, does that resonate for you as describing yourself as queer, or no, you're gay, and that's kind of how that feels for you?
So I'm glad we're actually starting with this, because this is part of where the terrible gay comes in. That's kind of what I understood it to be, of just, I hate the term catch-all, but that's kind of what it is, of like, just not to diminish what it is, but it is kind of that, like, because historically it was LGBT, flat, period, nothing else.
No plus.
And then, then it has LGBTQ, and then it's LGBTQIA plus. I've had a difficult time because I am kind of in my own little world. I try to keep up with stuff either through Instagram or Facebook or social media in general. I just dated myself, like we didn't already know. But without really being too heavily involved in our community, I don't really get a whole lot of exposure to that. So when we're talking like, oh, this person, lesbian, easy. Gay, easy. Transgender is easy. And then it starts going on to these other things. And unless you're around that and you kind of understand that, I'll be around it. Same thing. I love anybody and everybody. I don't give a shit what or who you are, if whatever that looks like. I don't care. You're a human being, and that's all I look for. But I will say that that's kind of what I expected it to be, was just, okay, here's what that is. I have never fit, I feel like, in anything but gay. Part of that is growing up being told that was really wrong, and homosexuality is a sin and this is terrible, to finding some community, because I grew up in Colorado. So finding community there with people my own age and other gay boys, and we just went out and partied and had fun, and there was a gay park. I don't know if it's still gay, but there was a gay park in Denver where it was just everybody went there. Nobody bothered you, and we could all hang out and sunbathe and just do all the things. Some of my friends I met while we were doing high heel races. My ass, could you imagine? I've been this height since I was 15. So at 18, 19, I was at the gay park, and these guys were like, hey, do you want to do some heel races with us? I was like, sure, fuck it, let's go. And my ass did not fall down, which is surprising, because never had worn heels. Well, when I was 5, but that's a different
heels
story.
were available, so we tried those on at least a couple times.
Those didn't fit. These actually fit.
Right.
But it was very much, in that time, it was very much a time of, you're lesbian or gay. There wasn't a whole lot of exposure to anything else. Not because it didn't exist, but because people were afraid. And people were afraid of even just being the L and the G.
Let alone all these other letters that
precisely.
we're still understanding just the G and the L, let alone all the other in-betweens.
Well, and coming off of I'm still in the generation that was coming off of the AIDS epidemic. And that's scary as shit. And you get tested all the time. I didn't really do a whole lot, but I was getting tested with my friends and supporting them, and always wearing a condom, and always this and that and whatever, to, okay, now it's, things are opening up. People are revealing who they are because they want to be authentic and true to themselves, which, why does anybody else care? Focus on your damn self, because I can guarantee you've got way more things to fix about yourself than what other people are expressing themselves as. So also having some experiences with gay pride, like what does that do? What does that mean? Because a lot of people are like, oh my God, I love gay pride parades and festivals and this and that and whatever. And I've been to Madrid, San Francisco, Palm Springs, and I'm like, this is fun, but I never was like, yeah, this is amazing. I'm like, this is just another festival. So I feel like there's also part where I started maybe getting a little bit disconnected from that, because it was like, okay, why is this exciting for people? But also keeping in mind, the reason why we have those pride festivals is because not too long ago, it was criminal. Everything homosexual was criminalized. And just similar to a lot of things in this country, like shit happened not that long ago.
Right.
Not at all. Yes. Not long ago at all.
No, at all. Like, it's within our parents' lifetimes, at least. Not even our grandparents, within our parents' lifetimes.
Yes.
And then now to going into having a couple of relationships in the past couple of years and navigating what that looks like. Like, most people have had relationships in their 20s, 30s, whatever. I was in my late 30s before I had my first one. It was completely long distance. It was in a completely different language. All of the things. And now it's like, okay, well, maybe, because prior to that, I had been like trying to have sex and trying to go out and do things, and that didn't really happen very often. And now trying to navigate that, I'm like, this shit is the same as it was a decade ago.
Yeah.
And now everybody doesn't want to use condoms and everything is free and it's fantastic, but it's like, this is really overwhelming for somebody who isn't in it all day and doesn't have a whole lot of gay friends. Pretty much all my friends right now are straight women. Great. But there's that piece that of like that community, that just anybody gay. I'd love to have anybody gay. But going to that, and so it has been a really big adjustment over the years, but also, like I said, more people have become comfortable with bringing themselves out. Okay, great. For me, it's always been, and then what? Like, what's your name? Nice to meet you. Let's go hang out.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're coming out as transgender. I don't care if you're queer. I don't care if you're the plus. Like, whatever you are, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Well, I think something that resonated with me that you said is just people being able to be their authentic selves. And I think that is really such a beautiful thing no matter what we are. I mean, I think that's the goal with our shared humanity, is just being able to really express yourself in whatever individuality that is. And for me, I agree. Why does anybody care? It's none of your business. Why don't you work on your own authenticity before you're in my business about my authenticity? Also, I'm not doing this for you. This is for me. And I'm sorry that strikes something in you or makes you uncomfortable in any way. But mind your business. Get back in your own fucking lane.
Absolutely.
You know. And so I think the community is something that gets so politicized and is not meant to. People use it as a weapon against us inside, right? And it's like, then it makes me as a white woman scared to even ask the questions of like, I want to be supportive. My brother is gay. I don't have a bone in my body where I give a shit what people do in their own lives. And I'm not one of these people who's like, do it behind closed doors. Fucking do it everywhere. Let's have the parade. You guys are having a good fucking time.
Exactly.
Like, let me in, right? So, but we need to celebrate more of that instead of allowing our society to really divide us and come from a place of fear. So many things that we do are rooted in fear. And so it's like, something that you represent for other people sparks something inside of them that pulls this fear out, and then it makes people act crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that for a very, very, very long time, as long as humans and civilizations has existed, fear has been the tool to separate people. And when you can separate them, you can control them.
Yes.
So within the LGBTQIA plus community, there's a lot of separations and a lot of politicized aspects of our being that have become weapons against each other, which is insane. But I definitely feel like when we have that, when we find those similarities between each other and those connections outside of just being in this community, but just as humans, beautiful things can be created. And I feel like Pride is one of those spaces where we find our commonalities with each other when it comes to music, fashion, expression, different forms of art, etc. That's just one of the very many examples of it. But I definitely feel that fear is one of the biggest things that has caused such this cloud of I can't even ask the question around our community, but it's also people not being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Speaking from my generation.
You just hit the nail on the head with that one. That's a huge one.
Absolutely. Especially with my generation, I feel like we have commodified comfort in a way that it's a daily part of our life. And if there's anything outside of that, we don't like it. But that goes for other generations as well,
of course.
And things that we're just not aware of, and that lack of knowledge makes you uncomfortable.
It does.
Which is a normal human trait. If we don't know about it, it can be feared because I don't know if this can cause harm to me or what all the possibilities are. So I think getting back to being comfortable with the uncomfortable, being in a space of being exploratory in life and being curious and that being okay. which, kind of goes back to being okay with your inner child.
Yes.
Like, is it okay for you to experience wonder and curiosity and have things that you don't know about and see it as a new opportunity to grow as opposed to something that can harm you?
Yes.
Which is like the adult cage or the shell that you put up to protect yourself. So, there's just a lot of healing needs to go on.
There is a lot of healing, and I think people don't realize that the healing comes from when you are willing to lean into that discomfort,
Exactly.
because like you said it so beautifully about we've commoditized. How did you say that? Commodified. Thank you. Being comfortable, and it's like that's not where the good shit lives.
Not
Just
at
so
all.
everybody that's listening, that's not where the good shit lives.
Exactly.
Like we're meant to be uncomfortable and lean in and ask the questions. And of course, coming from this place where I definitely am not trying to offend anyone, but I have no idea. Like you guys say the IA portion of that. I don't even know what the I and the A means.
Intersex and asexual.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is, help me understand that. And again, please understand everyone that's listening and also for you, Lotus, I don't pay attention to news or to anything of that because that dampens my light. And so as that's good news, bad news, right? Because then I'm uninformed in some things, but also come from a place of curiosity where it's like, I'm not listening to the fear and the politics and the shit that comes in from all of the news. And so I come from a place of curiosity, but both of you mentioned that and I'm thinking, oh shit, I didn't have that right. Which obviously everyone knows I'm not coming from a place to offend, but please educate me on what those are.
Absolutely. So let me first say that I do not have the full definition of intersex off the top of my head.
Okay.
And because of that, I don't want to say, well, this is what it
no
is
worries.
and be completely wrong.
Yeah.
But it has more so to do with gender identity / sex of a person. Gender identity being what you present to the world as who you are.
Got it.
And your sex being the genitalia that you have at birth.
Got it.
Pretty much. So it falls into that part of it. So I would definitely recommend looking it up. I'll be looking it up as soon as I leave here because I do not like not having the definition.
Yes.
But asexual is essentially saying that you do not experience sexual desire in the way that most people do.
Okay.
You can have a perfectly beautiful relationship with someone that is romantic and not ever desire to have sex with them. And that's just who you are. And that's natural to you.
Okay.
That's what intersex and asexual about say. But I also want to say that sometimes people being offended for a moment is okay.
Yes.
As long as your intention wasn't to do that.
Yes.
I grew up with a lot of beautiful people in high school who were trans, non-binary, bisexual, gay, all the things. I had every letter of the alphabet in my friend group, which was amazing. We had a lot of conversations. And my non-binary friend, because I had never met anyone who was non-binary, I was very familiar with the binary. So he or she pronouns. So when they were like, I don't use he or she pronouns, and I said, oh, you're an it. And they were like, and I was like, I'm so
Like,
sorry.
not my intent.
That's not what I meant. I really didn't know what to call you.
Sure.
But then they explained, like, no, baby, I'm not an it. I'm still a person. I just use they.
Yeah.
Because he or she does not feel authentic to who I am. So that brief little moment of discomfort was uncomfortable for the both of us.
Sure.
But they made a decision like, okay, this is someone that I care about. I know that they did not mean to offend me. So I'm going to take the moment to educate them, which was beautiful of them because they didn't have to.
Yes.
And sometimes people don't have the capacity to educate every day. Yeah. And then me being like very apologetic and making it clear I want to learn and being open to being wrong and being corrected.
Yes.
And also people understanding that the person does not always have to be the one to educate
Yes.
you. We have Google for a reason.
Yeah.
So please,
Yes.
talk to her every now and again. And don't just try to find a queer person or even a person of color, like the person who's Latina at your office to represent their entire community. Or as a Black woman, we often get the role of we have to be the advocate and the spokesperson for everybody in my community.
Yes.
And while I can give you that information, it gets exhausting for people to have to define and defend their experiences and the people who also live their experience on a regular basis. So educating yourself as much as you can, and then when the person has capacity, asking them if they have the capacity, can we have this conversation so that I can learn more?
It's such a beautiful thing to come from that place, right? And then also when you're talking about with your friend not getting defensive and having an understanding of like, I didn't say that to be, to be offensive or to hurt anything. But also, if they want to come back from a place of, I don't have the capacity
Right,
to educate you, don't take that, from a defensive place. I think in doing this podcast, I have learned so much in talking to different people, different colors, different sexualities, different, all of the things, from this beautiful space of hearing from a Black woman what it is to have to feel like I have to educate all the time. I had a beautiful woman, Crystal, who's a great friend, on, and she was explaining, like, come ask me in private before you say something in public. I'm happy to be the person that that educates, but I know a lot of Black women that are not interested in it, and I totally appreciate that as well, because I would come from this place of like, fuck you, I'm tired. Like you said, there's Google. Educate yourself, take it upon yourself. We live in this world where information is everything. It's everywhere. You trip over it. Do something to advance yourself in this landscape, instead of just assuming that it's someone else's job to educate you. But also, like, don't be so defensive when someone, I'm not talking about any of us, but don't be so defensive when people are asking it. You can say, I don't have the capacity to do that. I encourage you to look for that on your own. Because everyone's just trying to do the best they can, from this place of shared humanity and what that looks like. Obviously, there are people out here that don't have that agenda and are coming from a place of hurt and fear and anger and all the fucked up things. But for the most part, we're not coming from a place where we want to offend. It's just more of a educating, but doing that on your own,
Exactly.
One of the things that I brought up before is, I'd love to know from both of you, one word for how you feel about your community today. What does that look like for you?
Grateful. Coming into the conversation that we were having today and kind of reflecting on my experience and my blossoming into the being that I am now.
Yes.
Queer spaces have been some of the only spaces where I felt completely safe. And without those spaces, without those people that I grew up with and people that I know now, I don't feel that I would have ever been able to fully become my best self, my greatest self. So I'm grateful.
Nice. How about you, Keith?
Mine is a little darker. I was like, maybe I should change it.
And that's totally
no,
valid.
it is. So some recent events, and kind of just in our conversation, I kind of thought about this earlier, was struggling. Because, and it applies in so many different levels. It's a struggle as a child to understand what that looks like, what that means, being a part of that. It's a struggle if you have religious parents who tell you that's wrong and whatever. It's a struggle even if you don't have those kind of parents who are open and accepting. It's a struggle to find your place in the world. It's a struggle to date. It's a struggle to be trying to figure out, like, do I like this hookup culture? Do I not? It's a struggle to be in. Right now, like, they're trying to work on overturning same-sex marriage. That's a struggle. It was a struggle at Stonewall. It's a struggle to get gay marriage. It's a struggle to get benefits. It's a struggle to hold hands and do all those things. So that's, as much as there is so much goodness to it, but I just feel like there's so much struggle all the time out there, and even amongst the people within the community. Like, there is so much racism, and I've only seen this from my perspective of just being on apps and things like that, trying to get some dick. And
I love it so much.
But it is terrible. The things that people are willing. I mean, it's the same. We all know in social media, anybody behind a keyboard can be like, fuck
everyone's
everybody.
so tough.
But it's very evident. It's like, no fat guys, no femme guys, no trans, no Asian, no blacks, and they will say no blacks. Have we? We're supposed to be better, in my opinion. The LGBTQIA plus community and women, we're teams. We're teams with Black people. We're teams with Latino people. Like, basically everybody has kind of a similar struggle. So when I see that within the gay community, you can say, like, I'm not interested or whatever, but there's such a lack of respect that is apparent in so many facets of our lives now. But it's a struggle. It's a struggle. Like, I'm trying to do whatever, and I'm like, okay, I'm struggling to try to find some new friends, and I'm struggling because I don't like to go out to the bars. I don't like to drink. I never really have. And I think there are so many people who are struggling just in general. They're struggling for acceptance. They're struggling for love. They're struggling for work. Because maybe maybe Jimmy is really flamboyant and they don't fucking like that at his job. Who cares?
Right.
What does it matter? It doesn't do anything to you. I have been incredibly fortunate in my life that even though our parents are really religious, they never tried to kick me out, because that's another struggle that younger children go through when they come out to their parents, is they struggle with homelessness, they struggle with suicide, they struggle with all of those things. But I've been really fortunate where I've just been kind of even keeled, maybe on the border of boring in my life, because I didn't get kicked out. I got some weird punishments when I was a teenager, but it was weird. I've never been called a faggot. I've never been called a slur. I've also, on the opposite side of that, being a white man, like, also I'm gigantic. In case people watching can't see, people don't fuck with me. Yeah. And whatever it is, like, I wear a fucking man purse. I've worn one for decades, and nobody has ever said anything. Nobody has ever done anything. So it's also like, you see those struggles and other people struggling, and at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I struggle in a portion of that, but not really. I don't struggle on the part where I have people constantly telling me, like, my ex is black, and the things that he would tell me that people would tell him on the dating apps or on the hookup apps is mind-bogglingly disgusting.
Yeah, a lot of hatred and fetish, and sometimes at the same time.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. It absolutely is, and it's just like, I can't imagine when you're talking about, like, being fucking tired of explaining things to people. But it's hard, because it is like, for those of us who want to know and we're curious, like, I want to do the right thing, but I also, he kind of opened my eyes to that too, of like, it's not our responsibility, because you guys weren't taught in schools. Because I remember in schools, like, we weren't taught shit.
No.
If it wasn't white, it wasn't right. And like, that's not okay. So that kind of opened my eyes of like, no, you can have conversations with people, but don't touch people's hair. Don't fucking ask them, like, why are you this way? Just leave them alone. Yeah. Leave them alone. If you're curious, say, like you said, do you have the bandwidth to have a conversation about some things? But the same thing with, like, why are you gay? Why are you this way? Why are you doing that? Explain more about you're queer. Explain, like,
right. Okay. No one comes to a straight person and asks, why don't you, like, stop that. Why would you ever do that? Why would you ever feel comfortable doing that?
That is an excellent question. I think there's entitlement
that
people have, as if they have some level of ownership of your person in a way. And usually when it's someone who they consider to be lesser than, they're like, well, because you exist and because I exist and I'm clearly the better of the two, then obviously you have to defend yourself to me, because I don't understand. So it must be wrong. So, do the thing.
It's wild to me to hear you talk about racism in this community. Say more to me about racism in the community of, like, to me, that doesn't feel like, it would feel like inside of the community, it would be more inclusive of all of the things, more accepting. And so to hear that is wild to me.
You would think, and that's the hard part, is I also come from this perspective of, like, that's how I am. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a nice person, like, let's go hang out and like, go get a coffee or whatever. But it is very much so that way. Like, things that people are openly willing to say to other people is
wild.
Horrifying.
How do we need to come up with a list of things not to do? Because when Crystal was on the episode, I'm talking to her and she's talking about some woman at work. She's in some big corporate America. Come up to her and touch her fucking hair and like, what? I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, why would you ever think that was okay?
And I love that that's that's just common sense to y'all. But unfortunately, that is not commonplace thinking for a lot of people. It's going back to that whole inner child thing. Some people don't have those boundaries or those filters to think, okay, consent should enter the conversation. Also, consent is not defined to people a lot of the time when it's outside of sex and even within sex. So when they see a person and they're like, oh, this is new, and they just reach out to touch it, they don't see anything wrong with that. They also probably didn't think before they did it.
Sure.
So it's just, building those boundaries and knowing what consent is, and that consent goes beyond just a bedroom space.
That's a really important point to say that, because I think consent is a really big topic and something that I've really embraced more in before I go. I have a lot of energy. And so before I go have a conversation with somebody, it's like asking, do you have bandwidth for this, right?
Yes.
Instead of just assuming, because everyone's obviously dealing with all of their own shit in life. And so for me to come in hot and be like, it's like, maybe just ask,
Before you start,
before I start word vomiting all over people, right? So the consent thing, I'm glad that you mentioned that. It's not just in the bedroom. It's everything. Make certain that the person that you're engaging with is even interested in having those conversations with you.
Exactly. It would be lovely if more people, but before we moved on, I wanted to touch on the whole race within the LGBT plus community, even though there's a lot of similarities between minority experiences of people of color and LGBT plus people being a minority community within themselves. We're still human. And there's still a lot of biases within ourselves. There's also a lot of internalized hatred for people who are queer within themselves. They also do not like queer people. And also the world just doesn't like femininity in general. So there's a lot of misogynism that's like internalized in our community and a lot of racism, like we said. So even though there's a lot of struggle within the community to become who you are and to accept it, that doesn't mean that they're not human and they're not capable. We are not capable of having those biases and those prejudices against each other. We just so happen to like the same thing or similar things or fall under the same umbrella, but we're still humans, unfortunately.
That feels heavy.
And even with other like minority groups, like with Black people, there's a lot of separation between us for like religious purposes, because of sexuality, because of even where you're from, demographic, and et cetera, different places in the social ladder, and comparing yourself to one another. So humans are still humans, and there's still, again, a lot of healing that needs to be done so that any biases that you have, let me reverse that. Healing needs to be done so that anything that you have experienced in your life that has told you hating a person is a good thing is resolved within yourself. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's very much prevalent, and it's not talked about a lot either.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that that's part of this, right? Is having this conversation of no one's coming from a place of fear or offensive. It's definitely a curiosity. And when you talk about really embracing your inner child and coming from this place of curiosity, we all need to get back to that. We all have all of these shitty filters that come based on sexuality or race or religion or politics. And
that were given to you.
They were totally.
They were given to you.
Right.
That's part of becoming a human, is that you're giving these filters to see things through. It's your job to fix it. I know you were dealt a shitty hand. All of us were to a certain extent. When you become grown, it's your problem now, babe.
It is.
Figure it out.
It is. And really being able to like peel back those layers like an onion. I feel like that's been my last half a dozen years of work, of just really peeling back all of the things that either I was dealt or that came to me, things that I did to myself, things that other people did, because it really jades you to all sorts of stuff. And it makes it's a very divisive thing, no matter what it is, whether it's, sexuality or race or anything that's different than who you are. We're really, it's pushed that we fear, and then in turn this hate comes out, and these other things where it's like, don't do that, don't do that. This is terrible. Have you always, like, what did your childhood look like as far as kind of your parents? Have you always, know?
I've had kind of like a Hannah Montana type of lifestyle, best of both worlds type of thing. I've had a good amount of struggle, and we didn't have a silver spoon, but we had a spoon type of.
Okay, I like that. I like how you say that. That's excellent.
We didn't have the best of everything, but we had enough in some of what we wanted. So I had a beautiful childhood. Yes, things happened, things that were said, and, traumas that I've experienced and my siblings have experienced. But overall, I'm very grateful for the life that I've had, and for my parents. When it comes to, in regards to my sexuality and how I express myself, my coming out was very non-traditional. It wasn't a lot of fanfare. I was in middle school, and I grew up in Georgia, by the way. So I was aware that different types of sexualities existed, but they weren't around me. I never saw it, so I didn't know it was accessible to me, which seems kind of strange. Like, I've always felt a way about women and about people in general that was different, but I had no one to share that with. So I didn't know if this was just a random thing. I didn't know if that was part of the whole puberty thing they were telling me about at school. I just, have always had those thoughts and feelings, but didn't know it was accessible to actually experience that with someone. So when a girl was like, "Oh, I like you," I was like, "Oh, Oh, well, I like that you like me. Let's talk about this more. Let's figure this out.
Yes.
So after I had got, that experience, I went to my mom. I was like, Mom, I think I'm bisexual. I think I like girls too. And all she said was, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And that was the whole conversation.
Sure.
There wasn't like a whole, drama series that happened. She didn't start praying immediately. She didn't like make it a huge thing, which normalized it for me
Yes.
and made it accessible to me in a whole new way. So it's just like, oh, my mom's not tripping about this. It's clearly okay that I am this way and I'm figuring this out. And I thank her so much for being so open to it. And my dad was the same way. Now my dad is, he grew up in Duval County, Florida. As a Black man. So he was a raging homophobe for a very large part of his life. But that's also associated to traumas that he's experienced and how he was bred to be masculine. And as a Black man, you have to defend your masculinity so much that anything that is feminine in your sphere outside of dating someone is considered the devil because you're trying to minimize my manhood type of thing. So I understood it. But Dad, you got queer kids. I need you to understand what is and is not okay. So he's come very, very, very far.
Thank you, Dad.
Thank you,
Dad.
I'm very proud of him. Because that's just things that they said, talking about like slurs and things like that's just things that they said.
Yeah.
And in his generation, they were cool to say. It was socially acceptable.
Right.
So then he met his revolutionary daughter and was like, oh, this is not okay anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And it took some time. But I think that's the best way I can sum it up. And then going into high school, meeting a bunch of queer people who I thank God that I was able to meet and learn from so much. In addition to that, I discovered RuPaul's Drag Race, which
I love it.
was a huge part of my queer awakening. I feel like just knowing that there are other people who might not have the exact experience that I do, but live in this sphere of fabulousness and just being different and having, not so great experiences with other people who don't understand you and being creative and being performers and living out loud and being so unapologetic about their experience, which I was not in that space yet.
Right.
So I think my mother, my queer friends growing up, and RuPaul's Drag Race were probably the three pillars of my thisness. Yeah.
It's lovely to be able to talk about your folks and kind of how they received that and how they responded to that. Because I think a lot of times we get very we come from this place of, fuck that, somebody didn't handle it right. But it's like, give them a second. You know, if you look at and show your dad some grace for how he was raised, that stuff is ingrained deep.
Very deeply.
And so, and they came from a from a time where we didn't have internet or information or any of that shit. Hate was bred into all of us in different capacities, whether it was a race thing, whether it was a sexual thing, whether it was whatever. And you're taught to fear what you don't know. You're not taught to get curious about it. And so really trying to change the narrative about that, let's get fucking curious. Let's come from this place of wonder and awe. And I think, I talk a lot about getting back to kind of your 8-year-old version or whatever your inner child is.
Mine is 8.
It is, right? And being able to come from this place of we're on the playground. Hey, girl, you want to go play? Because not from a place of who do you want to screw or who do you want, what color you are. It's like, no, let's go fucking play. For all of us, let's get back to that, right? And everyone doesn't have to be your people, but everybody can be different and we can celebrate that.
Okay. I love what you said about giving folks a minute and giving them space to not be perfect and understand. I was talking to some of my friends not too long, literally this week, about each of our coming out stories and our experiences with our family. And we're all a spectrum from my very run-of-the-mill, regular experience to a whole blowout, knockdown, drag out type of situation that was very traumatic for them. But I'm very glad that each of them have made a lot of progress with their family because at the core, they love each other. It was just a lack of understanding and being raised in different ways. It's important that you live for you, but also understand that people are where they're at. You can choose to meet them where they're at for a moment and expressing who you are and being authentic and honest. And what they do with that information is up to them. The people who truly love you and truly are about your happiness will rise to the occasion and figure out how to meet you where you're at. And that takes a while. Sometimes it takes years for people. Sometimes it's like that and they just figure it out and everything in between. So
I love that in my household, it's very much like I have 3 kids, and in my household, it's you do you, right? Like, everybody has their thing, and it's like, there's not really coming out. You just come tell me. You don't have to, like, it doesn't have to be a thing. We celebrate all of the things, right? We celebrate all of that. And I love that so much because I look at, Keith's experience for coming out, and I think Keith doesn't realize how detrimental his coming out was. I think he explores that on the regular. But I just think having that not be embraced, which I get from that age, is just, it fucks with you. It fucks with you in a way where no matter what it is that you come out and say, if you don't feel completely just enveloped in support by your family in whatever capacity, that doesn't feel good, right? I've had something that was, I didn't have a great teenage years, and all of that shit has nothing to do with sexuality or any of that. And that still is damage on my spirit that I have to go back and heal, because it's like feeling rejected, not feeling accepted. Those things go deep. Those are deep roots that you don't realize that you're building on top of as you go further in your life. Those things sting to that inner child that didn't feel celebrated in whatever your authentic self was, So really to be able to come from that point, I think is really huge, Where do you feel like you are as far as that's concerned, Keith?
It's interesting because as we're talking about all of these things, and I'm listening and I'm just kind of mulling things over about, I always have this idea in my brain that I was really lucky, which I was. I was really lucky because our parents didn't kick me out.
Yeah.
I feel like any child, any person who comes out or has any issue, their parents don't kick them out. They're really lucky. And I have a tendency to say, oh, well, the worst case scenario didn't happen, so I'm good. And then I move on without validating, yeah, that sucks. It sucks. I was really fortunate because all of my siblings were just like, hey, cool, whatever. And moved along. We love you. You're who you are. Even my my older brother, who is kind of in a way, just one of those guys who doesn't really care, but he doesn't really show it. Not in the bad way.
Yeah.
He doesn't care who, yeah, okay, great. You're gay. Okay, great. You're whatever. I still love you. You're still family, whatever. It doesn't matter in that way. But I was put into Pray the Gay Away therapy.
Oh, God.
And thankfully it wasn't, I don't feel like it was a traumatic experience because we never actually did anything. It was
great. For those parents that think that's working,
right, they think that's
they're just going to hang out. It's
but you just put me around a bunch of other gay kids. But
exactly.
Okay,
at some point, they would have been better off doing
They would have
that.
been better off leaving me at the house.
Seriously. So we went, and it wasn't close to the house. I don't remember exactly how long. I think it was about a month, maybe 2 months. It was 1 hour, once a week. And the guy was just like, how did your week? How was school going? And literally nothing about let's talk about your faggotry. Right. No, I don't remember a single conversation. So I'd like to be yeah, this was really traumatic. And of course,
in theory,
the idea that your parents are nah, fuck that. There's something wrong with you.
And
that
sent you
fucks
somewhere.
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after a while, I just went to my mom. I'm this isn't a phase.
Right.
This is
all
me.
gay.
This is all gay.
Right.
It's not going away. Exactly. And she actually listened.
I love that.
And again, still not oh my God, open arms. We love the fact that you're a big old homo.
Yeah.
But at least it wasn't making things worse.
Right. It was just there.
It was. It was just there. So I think there has definitely been some stuff that I haven't explored yet that I've noticed. Part of it is because I really hadn't dated anybody.
Yeah.
I just don't share that part of my life with them. Not that there's a whole lot to share again, but if I'm oh my God, I got some good dick today, she's going to be the first one to know about it.
Yeah.
And then we throw a party.
Because
everybody.
It's
celebrate.
It is something to celebrate.
We celebrate that shit.
Absolutely.
But going into that, it's I don't share anything about that.
Right.
My parents, I dated this last guy for about 6 months. It was a pretty fucking traumatic. She knows. She was in the trenches with me. She saw it with me.
Yeah.
I couldn't pull myself out of it. It was one of the hardest things. We lost one of our other sisters about 10 years ago. This was the second hardest thing I've ever had to deal with outside of that. And it was because of me. Not I'm not blaming myself because he treated me like shit, but because I didn't know better to say like, no, we're not doing this at the beginning. So then it's like, okay, I'm bringing all that stuff up, but I didn't share any of that with them.
Yeah.
And how horrible is that you can't even, like, you can't go to your mom. There was a fleeting second in there when I just wanted to go to my mommy
And just,
and talk to her about it and just be
other
like, hey,
people
baby, it's
do.
going to be okay.
Yeah. You need that at certain points, but also having chosen family, there's a reason. Like
Yes.
God puts people in your, God, spirit, whomever you pray to, puts people into your life for a reason. And sometimes the people who are your relatives they're not that for you. And that's okay. You have your people in your safe spaces who you can go to and talk about some good dick, or the fact that you're going through the trenches with someone.
Yes.
I very much feel that on a very deep level. Like I'm out to my siblings, my mother and father. But the rest of my family don't know very much about me, especially not my sexuality.
Yeah.
Like I love them, but I've sat at those tables. I know what you're going to say to me, and you're going to condemn me to hell for the rest of my life. So I just knowing who your people are, and I'm glad that you do have those people in that safe space. To, be able to express what you're going through. It would be lovely to just have a hug from your mom. And I do hope that she gets to a space within herself, because it's not you, so where she can be like, you know what, son, I might not understand the relationship itself, but I understand you and I still love you. So hopefully she gets to a space within herself to where she can embrace you. And I feel like, do you feel like there's been progress with your mom or your parents in that way?
I think there has been a little bit. I think it's a part of it. It's hard to tell again because I haven't really had much to share or do anything with.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know if it's because there has been progress or because it has been a lack of exposure.
Yeah.
But like I brought my other ex from Mexico up for Christmas one year, and it was just BIA, like nothing else crazy, nothing, but we didn't really talk about it. We didn't really mention
Address
it.
it,
We didn't really, so it was kind of one of those things that it would be nice to be able to talk about. And again, like just looking at it from the perspective of like, I want to be able to talk to my parents about things like this. I want it because I don't know what their level is with everybody else. I can't imagine it's super high with everybody else, all my other siblings and all my nieces and nephews and things like that. But there was one lady who she came just at the right time, like after the breakup, and she talks exactly like how I would. She's like, I know you, baby. It's going to hurt. It hurts right now, and I'm going to cry a little bit, baby. But the way that was what made me kind of realize, she's like, my mom should be talking to me like this.
Yes.
My mom should be the one saying, I know it hurts. She didn't even have to understand everything. I could just be like, I went through a horrible breakup. And she's like, I know it hurts, but everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I don't have that experience. I don't have this was soul crushing for me because I just felt like that little kid who was just like, this is my first relationship and I have no idea, but I'm fucking 41 while I'm going through it.
Yeah.
And not having it's okay. She was my biggest rock and she's the one who actually pulled me out of it and helped me get out of it. And that was the closest thing I got.
Yeah.
And that was perfect. And it was what I needed at that time. But my siblings shouldn't have to fucking be the one who's parenting me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think going into that in that situation with mom specifically is, and I don't know if you feel comfortable to do this, but maybe even being vulnerable to just tell her, I've missed this. I could use this. And I don't know if you're in a place and a capacity to be able to give this to me, but I think in our family specifically, I feel like you filter yourself from them so that it's more palatable for them, more digestible for them. And to me, there's nothing about me that's digestible.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's fucking shake the rug. Let's get the fucking rocks out. Let's talk about all the things. I don't give a shit what it is because I know how much healing that provides. And I know how much lighter we feel when we're able to really say the things. And it doesn't have to come from this place of you fucking did this, you that, or whatever it can be. This is how this feels for me because, I know you are dismissive of your own pain in your upbringing. And I understand that, right? I understand that you don't want to play the victim and I totally get that. But also acknowledge how hard that was to be raised in organized religion where it was really taught that something was wrong with you if you didn't fit this heteronormative situation. There's something to that, right? When under the under layers are just telling you that something's wrong with you, so that when you are thinking about, oh, boys are what's attractive to me, that must be something that's wrong with me. That shit's deep rooted.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of stuff where I feel like saying your truth, no matter what the outcome of that is, not in a disrespectful way, but in a way where it's like, this is my truth, this is my authentic self, and this is what this felt like as a child, to not have someone that celebrated me for everything that I was. You know, there was no fanfare when I did whatever the fuck I did. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be this whole big thing of like, oh my God, getting phone calls that like Keith is gay. I'm like, yeah, everyone's done that. Like, why are you fucking calling me?
Late to the party.
Right, exactly. Like you're late to the dance. Like I had two brothers. One is straight as a day is long. And then Keith was, he always has been gay. You could totally tell. They were within a couple of years of each other. Yeah. This is not a fucking surprise, you know? So he comes out at 14 and my sister's calling me like, oh my God, Keith's gay. I'm like, yeah. I'm at work. Can we talk about this later? Like everybody fucking knows that. Exactly. It's like, why are you making this a fucking meeting? This was, you know. So, but I think you do diminish for yourself what the impact of that was on you, and really being able to just hold space for yourself as you heal from that, because they're not going to be part of your healing. No one else is, as far as if you have expectations of they're going to come and do something that you do, but that's okay. But still acknowledging it in yourself of the little boy Keith who had to deal with feelings of I feel this way and I don't feel supported, or I feel this way and someone's telling me that something's wrong with me because I feel this way, whether it was mom and dad or just religion in general. You know, I've unpacked a lot of that from the standpoint of I was never an organized religion person, and everything that came to me from that was very guilt, shame, all the things. And I knew from a very young age, at a molecular level, this doesn't feel right to me, that something is wrong with me for the different stuff. You have to unpack that stuff. And it doesn't have to be a witch hunt where you're looking for somebody to fucking burn at the stake or any of that. But you do have to like hold space for your own pain so that you can process that and release it, because you don't want to carry that shit around.
Exactly.
Well, and I've been... when I saw that lady, like I didn't know that was a thing I needed or that I wanted or anything. So because I have been keeping all of that down and pushed and not recognizing anything, I don't even recognize that I need that stuff. So I'm completely fine with going to them and saying like, I understand you, like I have that grace. I'm giving them that grace where I understand you are doing the best that you could with the information that you have. But it can't keep continuing. And also like, let's work some shit out. And if we can't, fantastic. At least the effort was made. But that's a big part of the struggle. And you hit the nail on the head of, I don't even know half the shit that I need to work on. Something like that woman triggered me. And I was just like,
oh, didn't know that was there.
Oh, shit. Exactly. And that's like, and again, there's also this expectation like, okay, I'm in my 40s, like I should have some shit together. I do in some regards, in a lot of regards. But when it comes to that kind of shit, I feel like a tiny little child who never got the chance to go above 8 years old or something like that and learn all the things and do all the things. All of my siblings are older than I was, or I am. They are older than I am.
I was going to say, we need to switch places. I'm still your older sister.
But also it looks even things that aren't related to being gay and being religion or anything. Like, I didn't know my oldest sister was going to leave us at 18. She's 11 years older than I am. I didn't know that stuff. So all these things are just doing this little child. And then it's like, well, shit. And then never working on that as an adult. And now it just comes crashing in. So everything there for a hot second, and still kind of is okay, I'm trying to find my place in this world. I'm trying to do better for my body and love myself more and be a good like try to go find gay friends and try to be social and try to be a good gay and try to have some more fun.
Drink enough water and eat what I'm supposed to eat.
And make sure the house doesn't burn down.
Like,
that's exactly how I feel.
It's a lot.
So, but it's interesting because it does get better. It does get lighter. It does, all of those things, but I think even from within our own community, if we can start working on things, being able to work with our allies and inviting our allies, because for me, I have shit that it's like, oh, my sister's never going to want to go to a gay bar. I know she will.
Well, I'll fucking go right now. We will wrap this podcast. We are out of here.
Seriously. But there's shit built up within me, even for that. I was like, I know she would go to Pride with me if I invited her, especially like Madrid or something where it's outlandish and crazy. But there's still something inside of me that like keeps that down. Keeps that down. Nope, you can't share it. I'm like, I know that. In my brain, I know that. But there's still always something that's like, I can't let that out. I can't say that. Oh, and I say a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So can you imagine what I'm holding back?
Yeah.
For our listeners, just so you know, while Keith is saying like, "Oh, can I say whatever?" Know that Keith says a lot of shit to me. So I can't wait to see what's going to come because
Right.
now I'm going to invite myself to Pride in whatever
Yes.
city you want to go to.
Yeah.
I'm fucking in. I'm
Let's
all
go.
in. You know,
It's interesting because you talk about how that woman that was able to talk to you and how that triggered something for you. I have a friend in my life who is 70, in her early 70s, and she has helped heal something inside of me that I didn't realize I needed because she calls me baby and she treats me, she's very motherly to me. And I didn't have that connection with my mom. And so I appreciate that because I realize it doesn't have to always come from whoever you think is that traditional person. You can go ahead and offer grace and forgiveness to her doing the best that she could. And also, I still didn't get what I needed, you know? So being able to kind of parent yourself in that way and figure out what it is that your inner child needs, it's so important. You don't have to have that expectation of mom, right? Maybe she's not capable of doing that. And that's okay. Or be vulnerable enough to say, this is what I need. You know, when I go through a breakup, I would really love for you to be able to say, baby boy, it's going to be okay. You know, and kind of offer that support because I'm hurting, not because of what I'm hurting from, but because I'm hurting. And that's your job, not your job. I don't mean it like that because everybody's roles are different, but you know, maybe being vulnerable enough to say that and see how she responds to that because what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Exactly. And then also just to get it off of you so you don't have to carry it around because it wasn't your actions that caused you to feel this way or your inactions rather. It was someone else's. In this case, your mother or whomever else. So just get it off of you. So at least you can say, I did what I could in the situation. And again, what they do with that information is entirely up to them. Just get it off of your shoulders. It's not for you to carry.
Yeah, I'm working on all of that.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's getting there. It's getting there.
And being an adult is just being a bigger version of your inner child. So it's okay to be whatever age or whatever space in life you're at to still be figuring shit out. Because I promise you, nobody has this thing figured out.
No. Sometimes I feel behind, and then I look at other people.
You're
I'm like,
just
nope.
Oh, I'm all right. I am all right.
well, and if we could just show each other grace in that situation and connection, I just think we would have such a better world if we could just
Absolutely. Finding those commonalities.
Yeah, commonalities, and don't come from a place of fear for stuff. We're all just doing the fucking best we can. We got bills and trash and shit we got to take out
and life and recessions.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. So, okay. So here's a fun question. What's one thing straight people still don't get?
Where do we start?
We only have 3 minutes left.
Podcast for that one.
I should have led with that question. Educate me, girl.
What do
Educate me.
straight people still not get? You want to start? Or
I can, just if you would like some more time, because the big thing off the top of my head is all about the marriage thing. I think straight people have this idea in their head that in our community we do shit differently, and it's like, no, we literally, if we're willing to get married, we literally want to have our person, go buy a house together, live together, get some cats, get some dogs,
the same
maybe
shit
go
you want to
gardening.
do.
Literally the exact same shit. We're probably going to argue about what we're doing for dinner that night. We're probably going to be pissy about what we're watching on television that night. Whatever. All of those things are literally the same thing. So when we talk about the human experience, like, no, it's literally the human experience. And all we want is to be able to have all of those same rights.
Yes.
And it's equality. It's not like we're getting something special. It's equality.
Or different. It's the same thing.
I think everyone should be able to be miserable.
Exactly. With whoever you want to be miserable with. That's all we're asking for.
But it is one of those things. I feel like there's this, they're getting special treatment. And, but they're doing something
That's the
different.
fear.
They can't have children.
But also, if it is different, why do you care?
Exactly.
Right.
If it's not hurting you and yours, why do you give a fuck?
Yeah.
Honestly.
And when's the last time a gay married couple has ever gone and caused harm to a straight married couple?
Usually they're the least harmful ones, honestly. So to piggyback off of that, another thing that straight people do not get, especially straight men, but this definitely goes to straight women as well. Not all gay people are checking for you. We do not want you.
It's not a game of Red Rover, Red
It
Rover.
is not.
I fucking love
I'm
that
not
too.
trying to convert the fucking
Sure.
world.
Yes.
All right? We just a lot of straight men, straight black men, that I've talked to have this internalized fear that gay men are going to try to steal them from themselves. First of all, they know that you're straight when you walk in the door.
Sure.
They are not checking for you. There's a very specific, very, very small group of people who are attracted to straight people, but they're also still aware. And also it's a thing of safety. As a straight person, we know that you will probably harm us if we make you uncomfortable, quite frankly. And that goes for gay men and trans women. They are not checking for you for their own personal well-being physically and emotionally. Because why would I try to entertain someone who I know is going to hurt me?
Right.
We are not checking for you, okay? I promise you are safe in your straight circles. Okay? You are totally fine. Okay? Great.
Also, how insecure about yourself and your
And
own
also,
sexuality do you have to be that someone's actually going to convert you?
And also narcissistic. Because why do you think that you're that fine?
Yeah, you're not.
Who told you that you was that attractive?
Yeah, exactly.
Have several seats. Thank you.
Have several seats. That's my new favorite. Have several seats. Thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been a really excellent conversation. I've learned so much. There's some heavy stuff I need to unpack myself of just... You said some heavy comments where I was just like, fuck, I didn't even consider that in this space that I'm just like, it just feels heavy. So thank you for doing that, because I just think that's what we need. We need more important, uncomfortable conversations that we can, connect over. So I appreciate it. That's our time for today. If you have questions, suggestions, or if anybody wants to send a DM if they're interested in Tony, please do so. He needs gay community. Get him out of his, he doesn't need to hang out with us straights anymore. Obviously, I love to have him, but I want to come too. So yes, please DM us. Let's do that. But and then also do all the things to support the pod. Follow, share, rate, and review. We will catch you next time. That's a wrap.